I guess it's a lot. So what's up, everybody? It's Jay Nice and Lady Oracle. We're in the building alongside the talented turntablist producer DJ Killa-Jewel. What's up? What's up?
What's up? How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Thank you for taking the time to, talk to us and hang with us for a little bit.
Of course.
You know what I mean? I know you're busy. Listen, I saw your YouTube stuff. I know you are busy.
Yeah.
You got some nice stuff on
Yeah. Yeah. It's been pretty busy. I mean, this is my first time, I guess, releasing something in conjunction with a label
there.
and with a team of people who are behind you, pushing it. So, I thought that before when I was independent, I thought that having a team would take a lot of stuff off of my plate, but actually it's put a lot more on my plate, which is great. It's just that, yeah, leading up to the release is pretty crazy right now.
Well, you gotta manage them a little bit too, right? They gotta kind of have your focus. They have to kind of have your vision in mind as they try to put this stuff and promote them. So, like, yeah, you gotta somewhat, I don't want to say micromanage, but yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
be on top of them too, as much as they have to be on top of their game. So,
for sure. I mean, you kind of it being my baby and my project, it's like you feel um like a responsibility to oversee everything that goes on. So, it's just been amazing having people there doing what I don't necessarily know how to do, like the social media marketing and the promo and all that. I've only ever done it to the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
But having a professional sort of team behind you and, you know, like even just creating a calendar of events and knowing exactly when I need to be, posting what has been a real help. And,
like marketing and promotions, it's a job and a half, man. Like,
it's another job in
it
itself,
is.
right?
It is. It
you
is.
kind of you kind of learn as you go along too. So I know there's always something I can do better, and it's really just about having the time to create the content, because
Mhm.
being an artist and producing your own music and putting out your own music is one thing, and it's something I wish I could do every day. But the reality is that I spend like more than half of my time creating content for social media to to let people know what's going on. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a balance.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Does having a team give you a little bit more time to do more creativity and a little less time preparing social media content?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's 50-50 in a sense that it's awesome that I can hand off certain things that I don't necessarily want to be dealing with all that
Mhm.
much, like contracts and you know talking to promoters and stuff, and that's been amazing. Like, so I have a middle person there, handling that, and it just feels better. It feels a bit more professional, and
Hmm.
it feels good to have that sort of buffer.
Yeah, it gives you more time to focus on the stuff that you want to do and still have somebody able to answer those emails and take those calls and kind of filter all the people
That's
that you might have to be in contact with. So 100%,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it helps, but there is more work in your head to think about. Like, is he doing his job? Like, did I miss something? Is it time?
They're doing an amazing job. They're doing a great job. I have nothing but praise for these guys at Hydrophonik.
100%, 100%. So we know this album or this EP is going to be dropping off October the 22nd. We had a chance to play Pixar on the radio show last week. I took a look at the Pipe Dreams. Awesome tracks, super cool. Like I just said, you did the YouTube, like the live session of you doing Pixar, which is really cool. Um, how crazy is it with, is it like it's the music is, I'm not gonna say it's different. It is new, it's different. It's kind of like it's, I don't know.
It
To me, it's spacey, that kind of spacey, dreamy atmosphere. But then you have your cuts in the back, or cuts in the front, or
Yeah.
cuts during it.
Cool.
Like, how did that come about, and how is that kind of like, this is the type of music I want to put out to people
is.
right now?
Mhm. That's a really good question. Most people who know me and what I do, they know me as an underground old school hip hop DJ, very boom bap, that type of sound. And when I released, well, I had unofficially released my first full length album called Saudade. I was sampling a lot from different records. I was also composing a lot around that as well.
Mhm.
But I realized the reason why I couldn't put that out legally was because there were samples on it that weren't cleared. So for me as an artist, that was a learning experience in that if I wanted to start, putting music out officially, I would have to start either composing my everything from scratch
Mhm.
or, finding sample libraries that I could legally, use.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and that first album, by the way, was created on an MPC 2000, which
Mm.
is, an old school like sampler sequencer that brings a different kind of vibe and a different kind of feel. When I turned to producing within my DAW and producing in Ableton, I feel like it really started to change the sound of what I was creating. So the medium almost really was the message in that
Mhm.
sense, in that my sounds really started sounding a lot more electronic as
Yeah.
opposed to sampling from a record. And there were a
Mhm.
couple of times when I tried to like recreate the sound of like the static on a record, or but it would never really come out the same way. And um I was listening to, I had a few different influences at the time, like, high classified local producer,
Mhm.
super talented guy. I was like listening to his stuff nonstop. So you might find like some similarities just being inspired by his type of production. But I just started realizing that what was coming out of me was very kind of spacey, as you described it. It was very like spacey, electronic, but with a new kind of a newer hip hop kind of sound with like 808 bass lines and drum kits and all that. And when I presented my demo to the label, they really liked it. Of course, they brought me on, but they were like, "You need to put some cuts on this." And I was thinking to myself, well, I don't know if people like, I don't know if scratching is like in anymore. Like I don't know if like the kids now are listening to that kind of stuff. And they're like, no, like you should really put this on it. Like that's your stamp. That's your, that's how people know you by it. And I'm like, you know what? That's totally right. Like most of the people who follow me are turntablists.
Mhm.
And that's how they discovered me in the first place. So at the point where I started putting cuts over it, I'm like, this all makes sense. It sort of all comes together. It really sort of does put my mark on it as an artist and as somebody who has been a turntablist for so many years.
Mhm.
And the spaciness really, I think, comes from, and not many people know this about me, but I was a huge Trekkie back in the day.
Mhm.
So I've always had this kind of like fascination with outer space. I know it sounds kind of nerdy, but I feel like just the way I kind of panned some of the scratches, like if you listen to it in the headphones, you really get a sense of like movement and like, spaciness. So I don't know. I think it just, you never really know, or I don't anyway, where a song is going to end up. But I feel like this particular project kind of landed in that realm.
So you said something like very striking. You had presented the album to the label without any cuts on it at all. So this was
Correct.
just straight, I don't know, can I just say electronic music for the sake of it?
Yeah,
Produced.
So
yeah, for sure.
you just presented like that and they told you to put cuts on it. So technically this album, this EP would have just been electric music produced by you. Would you have had the thought of maybe putting cuts on it, or was it really like, oh yeah, you know what, maybe I should put cuts
It-
on it?
yeah, it was a little like the latter, which was, you guys are right. Because in the back of my mind, I did kind of feel like something was missing. And
Yeah.
it's only an EP, so it's only 4 tracks.
Mhm.
And one of the tracks, which hasn't been released yet, called Without You, it's a song, it was my first attempt at a dance track. And that also was like a very natural kind of evolution as I was producing it.
Hmm.
It has me singing on it. So I was like, I'm not a lyricist. Like I don't feel comfortable writing lyrics, but I do sing and I'm trying to sing more and use my own voice on my own production. But I think they made a good point in that my cuts are kind of like my voice. It's like how I speak to my audience.
Hmm.
So um, I think really come there and listen to the song we're all done. I'm like, yeah, this is now a finished product.
Okay, okay. Well, good, man. Listen, I'm glad they told you to put those scratches on it because it is part of your essence. And then I'm shocked that it would have been just an electronic EP. It's like, here you go. It's like
Something's missing.
I just finished watching this woman scratch up from 2007 and beyond. I was
Yeah.
watching that thing. Was it Teen Spirit? You're cutting that up on YouTube. You did
Yeah.
something with Jay-Z cutting that. I'm just like, anyway. I'm glad you put it together. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad it felt like you felt like it was more you in the end, that you found that missing element.
Hmm.
Yeah, because sometimes, as an artist, you sort of question, number one, how do I stay relevant? So the production in itself, I felt like was more relevant to the sound of today. But at the same time, I think that having those turntablist elements as part of it really sort of married the more modern, kind of sound that I was trying to create and the more old school style artistry that, most people know me for. So
For sure.
I'm happy with it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Did you have to, because you're putting, you add an extra layer into the music with the scratching, do you have to kind of almost, I don't want to say like write down, like, all right, at this point in the song, this is going to be a little bit of a crab scratch. Okay, then it's going to be a baby scratch. Or did you just freestyle it all and then just like, all right, take 10, this sounds good, let's go with it?
Yeah, so my the luxury, I guess, of being able to record scratching is that you can take as many takes as you want. And typically what I do is I sort of divide it into sections. So I'm going to use this sound, from here to here. I'm going to use this sound from here to here. And then by section, I do maybe like 10 different takes.
Okay.
And then you kind of like, it's a bit like cheating, but it's not really cheating because in the end, as long as I can still do it live, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But then I just took like the sections that I felt were the best and I sort of pieced them together in a way that makes sense to me and to my ear. And the fun part about recording scratching artistically, I guess, over a musical production is that you can really try to communicate a message with it, and you can really do a lot of different things that create a certain vibe. And something that DJ Hubert taught me many years ago was that you don't always have to go like 100% all out, like like chirping as fast as you possibly can for possibly can. It's really about what happens in between and the silences, right? And it's about allowing silences to happen. This is really me nerding out right now. But
Okay, we want to hear it. We want to hear
Yeah, we're
it.
right there with you.
it's just about allowing those silences to like happen, and almost as if you're trying to be a jazz musician with your scratching and using the turntable as an instrument in that way.
I like it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, every element that you have has some type of, it has to have some type of feeling to it. You know what I mean? It has to be original, it has to be personable. So yeah, when you're scratching, you're just feeling the vibe and it kind of following the music as it's following you, and you just kind of let it rip. So yeah, you don't have to chirp for 20 minutes. You could,
No.
you know what I mean? You just feel however you want to feel to make that music flow. So that's what counts.
Yeah, that's it.
So what else is going on? Is there, I know the launch is happening. Is there a launch party going along with it, or?
Yeah, so there is a launch coming up on October 22nd, which is a Friday
Hmm.
at Ausgang Plaza.
Hmm.
Okay, we know that.
So the ticket link is actually in my bio on all of my social media pages, but they're going to be officially announcing it pretty soon within the next few days.
Mhm.
But for anybody, listening to this interview now, you can still go ahead and buy a ticket for that. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be collaborating with Murad Benesser, and he's going to be doing the live visuals. And this is something
Oh yeah.
I've always dreamt of, that I could get on stage and have these really cool sort of visuals happening behind me,
Mhm.
and to make it an experience, more of an experience for the audience. That's something that I'm really excited about. And it's really just going to be the first incarnation. So who knows what it's going to be like a few months from now, whenever we
Hmm.
get to go on tour. Um, this is just something that I'm looking forward to presenting to everyone.
That's gonna be like, I see it's gonna be like a dreamy atmosphere, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
with the
telling you, you might.
sounds and the scratching and
Yeah.
Listen, don't be surprised if people just fall asleep because they're just so calm in there. They're just like, this is a perfect place to be after work. I don't want to go. Like, don't be surprised, man. 'Cause it's cool. The music sounds chill. The scratching on top of it adds a cool element to it. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you're taking, that chance to really let me do
Yeah.
this. You know.
And not only that, but it's also like getting over my fear of singing in front of people,
Um,
and live looping, and like, something can always go wrong. So it's like being able to sort of put yourself in a vulnerable position, but it's also about the excitement and the adrenaline you get, as a performer, about being up there and putting yourself out there, and hoping for the best.
yeah.
exactly, exactly. So,
How was your experience at Pop?
mm,
It was great. Well, you were there.
Yes, I was there, so I enjoyed the performance. It was really
Yeah.
cool to see like everything, like with the turntables and
Yeah.
with like the beat pad, I guess you had as well, and
Yeah. So I was actually, it's this exact setup.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
So basically I'm using an Arturia Keylab MIDI controller.
mm,
So that's what I play like all my piano loops and bass lines on. And then I have the push two, which did give me some issues in the daylight, like I could barely
Oh
see
yeah.
the ads. But I'm gonna have to figure out a solution to that. And then I have my, oh no, there. I have my this is also like sort of like I map cues to that MPD. So and then of course, my turntables, and yeah, this is my setup for now. And it was a great experience. It was my first time performing, all of my own material live on stage for an audience. And it I had you have to do it, right? Like you
Yeah, that's it.
have to do it once, and then you have to do it 100 more times.
Exactly, that's it. You got to break that ice the first
Yeah.
time, and then, but it went well. Yes, I know there's some minor technical difficulties,
Yeah.
but it's
But
like even artists who've been performing for years have technical
for
difficulties.
for sure. And I've come to expect it in a sense. But of course, I want to put on a good show regardless. And the audience is always like just super supportive. So it was great. It was really good. It was fun.
nice, nice. Um, how come you decided now to, do this EP and get it out there versus earlier,
Mhm.
2022? Like, what made you say like, all right, I'm ready to do something?
Um, so last summer, last June 2020, I put out my first EP independently. That EP was called Reckless. And that was my real, like, first official attempt at putting out music, getting it on a DSP,
Mm,
you know, trying to understand, trying to do my own marketing. Like I had my own marketing checklist and everything I needed to do. And like I have a whole Excel of all the radio stations I was supposed to contact
mm.
to start promoting. And like I'm trying to do every single thing myself. So it's not, I think this was just more of a natural progression in a sense that, okay, I got my first EP out there. for the world to hear. You know, I knew that I needed to find a record label to partner up with. I knew that I learned the things that I can do on my own, and I learned about the things that I couldn't do on my own. And I knew I needed a team behind me to help, like, you know, to make it even better.
Yeah.
So around February, January, December, January, February, I started reaching out to a bunch of different record labels, and you know, luckily, like, not too far, not too soon after that, Curia from Indica said, yeah, I'd love to listen to your demo, send it out. And, you know, the rest is history. Like, they loved it, and they're like, we're starting Hydrophonik, which is their hip hop subsidiary label. And it was just the right fit. I mean, Curia, you know, I had done something for her, Montreal Women in Music, a while ago, so she was already following me, and it seemed like, you know, it was a good time. And it's crazy that it happened during the pandemic, when I really wasn't expecting anything much to happen in my career. But it's all about timing, you know. It's all about putting yourself out there. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, you just keep working towards that goal. And when I signed with them back in March, you know, we put out a timeline, and they're like, you know, we're going to aim to release these tracks by this and this time. And it sort of just happened at this moment.
I know we've spoken to a few artists, and, like, you know, during the COVID time, you know, there were some difficulties, but at the same time, they were just kind of stuck, as we call it, in the lab, either writing, creating, producing, or whatever. I'm assuming that was kind of for you as well, or how was COVID for you?
Absolutely. Well, COVID for me, I mean, in terms of like my studio situation, I've always worked from home, so there wasn't that much of a change. Of course, the live show thing wasn't happening, so it did, in a sense, I try to look at it in a positive light, in that it did give me the opportunity to really finish some of the music I was writing, which happened to be this demo. So that was definitely a positive that came out of it. And I managed to also land a spot on La Fin des Febres, which was a TV show on Télé-Québec that happened shortly thereafter. So, you know, I was very surprised getting any work at that time, but, you know, I guess the entertainment industry still has to produce for people.
Must go on in some form or fashion.
In front of the TVs. So, you know, the pandemic, I have to say, hasn't been too bad for me. I'm a bit of a hermit. So I did a lot of skiing. That's like cool. The only time I left my house, and it was the first time I had skied in like 20 years, but you know what? I really enjoyed it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of space on the mountains.
Yeah, exactly.
Social distancing, no problem.
Exactly.
So Ableton Live used to produce it. I want to say, how long have you been using Ableton Live, to the point where you're kind of like, oh, you know what, I think I could do something with it. You know what I mean? I think sorry, not to cut you off. I think every DJ at one point is like, I can make this music too. You know what I mean? Like, how do I make this music that I'm bumping to every day? Like, oh, I need a snare drum, I need an 808, I need a clap, and then I can make millions. But you know what I mean? At what point did you say, like, hey, I can make this? Where do I get Ableton Live? What do I do?
So when I was, I don't know how far back I should start talking about this, but when I was at Concordia in Communications, I first learned how to use a DAW, and that was Pro Tools. Okay. So back in university, I kind of got a bit of a so my studies at Concordia really sort of gave me that background, that backbone into knowing how to use a DAW.
Okay.
And about, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I decided to convert to Ableton Live because I saw a lot of my peers were using it, and it just, some people swear by Pro Tools, and that's fine. Other people use Logic.
Mhm.
I just thought Ableton was cool because it I like to produce in the arrangement view, and for anybody who knows that, the software, it's a linear view that everybody's kind of used to.
Mhm.
But I really love the session view, which is the view that you use to perform in. So it really has that flexibility in allowing you to, to work both ways. And I guess I kind of had the foresight to know that eventually I was going to be performing my own stuff live. So it's good to have a software that makes it easy to transition and to create that live performance, because producing a song is one thing, but creating a live version of it is a whole other project in itself.
Exactly. And Ableton Live is known to be really good for that live performance aspect of their software. So.
That's it. So I basically remember sitting there at a cafe back in the day and just reading through the manual, like going chapter by chapter. And I'm a bit of a manual person, so I don't mind doing that.
Mhm.
And just teaching it to myself. And because I already had a knowledge of Pro Tools, it kind of all made sense.
Okay.
Nice, smart. So definitely you're going to be homing even more of your Ableton skills as more EPs and more albums come out. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
You have
So
any other shows in the works?
mhm.
I know you have your album launch coming, but anything else?
Yeah, nothing else for now. It's kind of hard because I guess we're still COVID-y.
Yeah, a little bit, exactly.
But there are, I do see other artists booking like local kind of tours and stuff. So that would be the goal eventually, but nothing right now.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, after the EP comes out or after the 22nd launch, is it kind of back to the drawing board to have some new stuff created and released again this year? Or are you going to kind of just promote the EP and then 2022, all right, full album launch? Obviously that's stuff for you and your label to figure out, but can we get a hint?
Yeah, there's always, the goal is to always be producing new music. So I will be for sure working on some more tracks after the launch is done. And I will for sure be continuing to develop my live show with Murad. That's something that, again, I'm really excited about, and hopefully taking that on tour. So, I think it sort of ebbs and flows for an artist, in a sense that, being in studio producing something is like one aspect, and then there's the putting it out, that's like a whole other aspect, and then there's the live show, that's another aspect. So kind of, it kind of goes up and down, but definitely new music will be on the way.
Nice. Will you be doing, I know, with when COVID kicked in, everybody and their mom was doing live shows on YouTube and Twitch and all that
Twitch
stuff.
and Instagram.
I don't know if you had a chance to dabble in that. Will you also include that in your live shows, or obviously you'd rather be there in person? Like,
yeah. So this has been something I've been totally procrastinating on. You can see I do have my little light there for being able to, do some live DJ sets. Like I have a Twitch channel, but I've been very preoccupied with the record launch. So I know it's not an excuse, but it's something that I've been meaning to do more of. So thanks for reminding me.
My pleasure. So I know the website is Killa-Jewel.com.
Yeah.
Has all your information on there, the Instagram and the Facebook and stuff. I saw there's a link also to Pipe Dreams. Like I said, super nice track.
Thank you.
Very spacey. I won't lie to you. I was thinking of, I don't know if you know about Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist?
Have you ever heard of that Zeitgeist
Yeah.
documentary? So I was, and at one point there was some squares and some triangles coming in. I can't remember what it was, but I was just like, this reminds me of Zeitgeist, man. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's trippy, man. It's trippy stuff, but I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
It's
Thank you so
different.
much. And again, like I always have to thank the team because, you know, the artwork, the everything that goes in, like the show, the release, everything, like Hydrophonik, man. Shout outs to Hydrophonik and everybody working their butts off to help make this project come to life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One last question for me is how the music, like the music that you're producing now, the EP, is this kind of what's going to be for you for the next little while, or do you think you might say, hey, you know what, this is cool, let me, now that I got a label with me, let me just make a quick boom bap, and then, you know what I mean? Or you're kind of like, you know what, this is my direction, this is the evolution of Killa-Jewel, I'm going like this route.
You know, I sort of see it like there are going to be a few more tracks associated with this album. Like the next few tracks that I put out are going to be in this kind of style. But one of the things I'm also doing that I'm going to try to do more of is work with other artists and produce, you know, other rappers and other singers. And in doing that, your style is always changing and always evolving. And I've actually, you know, prior to my signing with the label, I was producing some really cool stuff that I thought it was cool with guitarist Creef, who's signed to Indica.
Nice.
And I'm really excited about the kind of sound that we're creating right now. So I guess keep on the lookout for some of that as well. That's a little more sort of like Jimi Hendrix guitar meets hip hop beat. Like it's very moody and it's super cool. So, you know, I have no problem letting my style evolve as it happens. I think that's what keeps it cool and interesting and exciting. And I'm not afraid to go in different directions.
I think that's the cool thing
good as an artist.
Yeah, about like when you produce music, the inspiration really comes from anywhere, and it could lead you anywhere. You know, like just because you hear that nice guitar riff might make you want to produce a house track that's a hip hop track. You just never know. You know what I mean? So as a producer, you're not really, not that any artist is typecast, but I think producers have way more freedom to experiment.
Yeah.
Put something out there that could still be just as appreciated as the stuff that they usually put out. So
exactly. And like I used to be all about like the boom bap and the old school underground, and I still am, but I realize, I think as I've gotten like wiser, I will
good choice of words.
That it's, you know, it's okay to experiment, and it's okay to just like, you know, develop and discover a new style. And for me, it's always been about following like my gut and following what sounds dope to me. So it doesn't mean that, you know, I'll never produce another boom bap track again. It just means like right now, this is the sound that I'm really feeling. So go with it.
Good stuff. Either way, congrats to you and your success. I mean, I was watching. It's funny when you look at, you know, you look at old people's YouTube videos. You have your hat to the back, to the side, and you're scratching. Just like, that's a young Killa-Jewel. Okay.
So yeah, young and naive.
It was classic. It was cool. I liked it. It was so funny. But yeah, man, listen, you've been out here doing your thing, getting the props, like it said, toured around the world, met, you know, did some stuff with DJ Hubert, success across the board. You know what I mean? So congratulations to you for sure for keeping it going, because that's not easy. You know, you could lose the love real quick. You know what I mean? Depending on where you are, especially in Montreal, Canada.
Yeah.
You know, we got to hustle a little bit different. We got to hustle a little much harder to get our stuff out there. So congrats to you for, you know, keeping it going. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview, and looking forward to seeing you at my show.
Yes, yes. Looking forward to being there and seeing all the visuals. And we're thankful for you taking the time as well.
Yeah, of course. And to everybody listening, Killa-Jewel.com, DJ_Killa-Jewel on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook, and I just kind of started on Twitter. Not sure how I feel about that yet, but
I don't like Twitter, trust me.
Same. Same.
I'm trying, okay?
Listen, at least you have a team, so they're gonna be like, let the team do the Twitter.
Well, they're like, no, post more.
Oh, okay, well then, yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess you gotta do it.
But yeah, that's where you can find me for now.
Perfect, perfect. So thank you, Killa-Jewel.
Thank you, guys.
You know, we'll talk again soon for sure. And hopefully when the station opens back up at Sigillo, you could come down and hang with us for a minute.
Do a little set.
Awesome. Yeah,
Sure,
that
we'll
was
go from
dope.
there. Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.